Hello, welcome back to YouTube Portfolio, the portfolio run by YouTube. Remember, if you want me to buy or sell a stock, all you got to do is put a comment down below. If it's the highest rated comment, that is what I will do. The stock we bought last week was GameStop, and 2 weeks ago, the stock we bought was Apple, sort of. We just kind of topped it off so that I had $10 in total in Apple. The first episode, Apple was my buy, and I just topped it off because I was actually out of town, so didn't want to invest in a stock, have a whole week go by and not update you at all. This week we were down 1.58%, not terribly, especially since we had Palantir, which at one point was up almost $5 and went all the way back down. In total, we are up $9.62, or about 17% on the year, which is pretty good, seeing as it's only been, I believe, 11 weeks, 12 weeks so far. Either way, today I'm going to be talking about Palantir, this stock right here, why I bought it in my personal portfolio, and why I think it's a buy. So today I want to talk about Palantir and why Palantir is a stock that I personally have bought a lot of, and my perspective on it simply from something that I personally know. Now, if you could tell by the title, I am a software engineer, and from that perspective, I think Palantir is a great buy and a stock you really need to look out for. So what does Palantir do? If you don't know, Palantir is a defense contractor, sort of. They do some other stuff, but they're basically just a data, AI, defense sort of company. Most of their contracts, most of their money comes from the federal government. In fact, they only have 125 customers, and the list that includes big names is US government and ICE and other stuff like that. A few other private sector companies, but mostly just government contracts, and that's where most of their money comes from anyway. They basically do AI and surveillance and stuff like that. Somewhat of a controversial sector, but they're a very technology heavy company, and in reality, they're going to be competing with the likes of Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, other defense contractors like that. Sort of. They're not going to be building planes and stuff like that, but in the technology space, they're going to be competing with those companies. Why do I think Palantir is a great buy? Well, it comes down to their approach to engineering and to getting talent. Many other companies don't have the same approach that Palantir has, and in fact, they're doing a really unique thing in the defense contractor space. So I want to look at this site. This site is levels.fyi. It is just a site that looks at salaries for software engineers, and I want to look at other defense contractors and compare them to Palantir. Alright, so here are three defense contractors. It's Palantir, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman. Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin are more traditional defense contractors, whereas Palantir is the new one up where they're doing things differently. And let's look at the salaries. So the average salary is $265,000 a year, which is a really big amount for software engineering because it's more in a level that you would expect at something like a Google, a Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, whereas the salaries at Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman are, as you'll be able to see, a lot less. So that one's $100,000 as an average, and that's across the whole company, so it's the same as Palantir. And if you see, there's actually not even a salary here that is as high as the average salary at Palantir. And pretty much the same thing is with Northrop Grumman. They pay a little bit less on average, and none of their salaries even come close to the average that Palantir has. There's one $200,000 one there, but that's still not $265,000. So why do I think this is important? Well, as you could probably guess, the defense contractor space, defense in general, is a lot more technology based and is a lot more AI based and all that stuff than it has been in the past. Now, Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman haven't seemed to adapted to this new style of pay and getting really great engineers in a way that a lot of Silicon Valley tech companies have. Now, why do I think that it's important that Palantir pays their employees more? So what, right? That doesn't actually mean, you're gonna have better products and you're gonna win more contracts and blah, blah, blah. Well, I think that Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman will have a lot of trouble keeping up with the technology that Palantir can produce as we just get more and more technological and the government has more and more technology needs rather than physical bombs and stuff like that. I think they're going to look to Palantir. Another reason I'm really optimistic on Palantir is the current administration. Now, this administration is obviously not the same as Obama, but it's pretty much the closest guy you can get to having Obama again. And Obama loved mass surveillance. Obama really expanded the mass surveillance state, making technology a forefront. And I think this is going to be really, really good for Palantir, because I think Joe Biden is just going to kind of follow in his footsteps, continue some of this mass surveillance, and we'll see a lot of Palantir's technologies really coming into use and really being pushed. So overall, I think Palantir is a buy because they pay their software engineers really well. They're going to be able to make really cool technologies that other companies are going to really struggle making, just because they have harder times getting talent and getting really quality engineers. There's a concept in engineering called the 10x engineer, and whether or not it's really real, a lot of people think it's a meme. There is definitely a group of engineers that do a lot more work and really can drive companies forward and make a lot more technology than many other of their peers. These 10x engineers are obviously going to be attracted to the companies that pay a lot more, and thus you're not going to see as many of them at Lockheed and Northrop. Even if it's only like a 2x engineer, then you're still not going to see as many of them at these companies, and they're not going to make as good products. So it wouldn't be an accurate analysis if I didn't talk about my complaints, the things that I worry about the company Palantir. And the biggest one, I think, is that cronyism may be a little bit bigger in this specific space than I think. Personally, I think it should be best product wins, but I don't know a lot about this space. It could be that Joe Biden really has it in with Lockheed Martin, and even though Palantir makes better products and has great engineers and makes great stuff, well, Lockheed Martin's just going to get all the contracts and there's nothing that Palantir can do. That's my personal biggest worry. I don't know entirely how that works, and in reality, nobody really understands how that works. You could see Lockheed, Northrop, you could see any defense contractor becoming a favorite and getting contract after contract, even though personally I think Palantir is going to end up deserving most of the contracts. So basically, I think Palantir is embracing technology in a way that other defense contractors won't and can't do very quickly, and you're going to see them win more and more contracts just based on creating really cool technologies that the administration that we're going to see soon is really going to love. And that is why I bought them. Thanks for watching YouTube Portfolio. Remember, if you want me to buy or sell a stock, all you gotta do is put a comment down below. If it's the highest rated comment, that is what I will do the next week. Make sure to check back in next week to see how our portfolio does and what stock we ended up buying.